So today we are going to do removal of extensions, and we're going to do two different methods. We're going to use an eFile for one, and we are going to do a manual method for another, just so you guys can see both. The most important thing that we're going to do when we remove any extensions in any method is we're going to cut them down short first, so that we are not unnecessarily removing the tips or soaking the tips. So these methods are the best and most fast way to remove extensions. It really shouldn't be taking you very long. I would say very, very maximum, if you're doing a manual method of removal, would be, I don't know, half an hour or so.
Yeah.
Okay, so first I'm going to start with my eFile method, and I'm going to be using the Lucy Pastorelli glider bit for this, and I'm going to be using my eFile at a speed of 22. So you can use other bits for removal. You can use a 5-in-1 is good. Anything that is carbide, you never want to be using a diamond bit on the product, because it's just going to blunt the bit and it is not going to be very effective. And a sanding band would just take a very, very long time as well. So we ideally want to be using something that is carbide. Also, when we're doing with our eFile, you never want to have to use more than 2 swipes to get through the gel polish. If it's taking you more than 2 swipes, either your pressure isn't quite right, or it might be time for a new bit. Because remember, your bits don't last forever, and they do need to be replaced every 3 to 6 months or so. It depends how busy you are, how often that you're using them, etc., where you get them from, because believe it or not all bits are made the same, so some are higher quality than others.
But look, I mean, why would you want to do manual first?
Yeah, this is so much faster. I'm going to really, really regret doing the manual hand in a minute, I know I am. So I'm trying to remove all of the gel polish so that we aren't wasting time soaking that off, and that we are only soaking through the extensions. So as you can see here, Jennifer has on our tinted tips, and I do actually find that they soak off a little faster than the normal tips. I think it's just because it's got the pigment in, so they just tend to break down a little bit faster in the acetone.
Which is strange, because if you put them in with gel polish, the gel polish wouldn't break down, but because they're actually formed with it, with a jelly mold, it seems to come off quicker.
So I also try and get a little bit through the top layer of the extension as well, just to help speed things up.
Just to kind of rough it up a wee bit.
That's it. Get the soaking process to be nice and fast. So I'm going to do 2 different methods of soaking. I personally think the very fastest method is using your eFile and a soaking bowl. However, I'm going to be manually doing the other hand, which is going to be a bit slower anyway, so I'm going to use the manual filed hand with my soaking bowl. So this hand I am going to use the foil wraps. So with the foil wraps, make sure you soak the pad nicely and then wrap it around nice and tight. I'm not the best at wrapping these around, to be honest.
I'm glad you said it. The good thing about this is you're wrapping it up like you would a baked potato, so that the heat is basically conducted inside the foil, and that helps speed up the process. If you leave it all loose and gappy, and then the cotton pad can eventually move to the side, you're going to have a problem. I personally prefer to use foils now than the soap bowls, which is weird, but it's just what I think.
Again, with us, it's whatever comes to hand, isn't it? It's more often than not these days, I think we are using the wraps than the bowls.
I think because they're all just sitting at our desk,
yeah.
We don't need to go and get.
So, once they are all nicely wrapped up, we're going to go on to the other hand, which we are going to do a manual method, because you guys always ask about seeing manual method, because more often than not we use eFile, just because it is much faster and it is our preference. So we've cut these ones down, and now I'm going to go in with a 100 grit nail file. You want to go in with the most abrasive grit you have and remove as much of that gel polish as possible. So it won't be as clean as it was with the eFile. We won't get through all of the gel polish this way, but as long as we can get right through the top coat and get the majority of the gel polish off, that will be good. So you will notice that Jennifer has a different colour of tinted tips on this hat. because here at Nail Order HQ we never have two hands the same because the products aren't tested on animals, they're tested on us. So if you aren't eFile trained or you're nervous about eFiles, I would highly recommend looking into it, even if it's just for your removals, because it will speed things up so much. You're talking about cutting your time for a removal of extensions from half an hour, from 25 minutes to half an hour, down to sort of 15-20 minutes. And I think every minute really counts, doesn't it? So
yeah, I think there was something about, if you think about that 15 minutes across the day, that could eventually be another set of nails in, or another treatment if you're a multi-tech. So
we obviously work really closely with Lucy Pastorelli, but whoever you choose to do your training with, we would recommend a face-to-face course rather than online. eFile is really one of those things, I think it needs to be taught face-to-face because it can be slightly dangerous if it's in the wrong hands, and it is something that you will want to get hands on with, I would say. Lucy does have lots of training. I think she's got, is it 21 or something? I think, was it 12? I can't remember. She's got lots of training trainers all over the UK. So wherever you are, you'll be able to find one. It's also a really good value course. I think it's £150, and it's an actual day course. It's not 2 or 3 hours.
Which is really good actually, because there's a lot, and not that I'm slagging off any other brands, but there's a lot that maybe you work on like dummy hands and things like that, whereas you're actually working on a model. So you bring like a friend or one of your clients or anything, and you're going through everything that you could possibly need the eFile for. And if you're not ready to move on to the next stage, then we can obviously like personalise it to you and keep it, even though it's a class, you can keep working on that same skill before moving on to the next skill. And also then you're picking up tips and tricks from fellow techs, so it's amazing the knowledge that people just share, or you know, so like where you would buy something for cheaper and all these kind of things. So it's actually really beneficial, like I think, business to business as well.
Yeah, it is. So we've got most of that gel polish removed, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pop our hands in the soaking bowl. So the soaking bowl that we have here is a double layer, so underneath we have warm water, and then on top we have the acetone. The warm water helps the acetone heat up, and it helps speed up the removal process. So all we're going to do now is we are going to leave both of those hands to soak for about 5 minutes or so, and let the acetone do its magic. Okay, so after about 5 minutes we are going to pull these guys off. Gosh, I've got that really tightly wrapped on there, don't I? And then my personal preference is to wipe over just with a lint-free wipe, just to remove any particularly wet product. I just think it helps stop things from getting a bit clogged up. And you'll notice that the tinted tips, they sort of lose their colour. You can see that just coming off, look at that, it's really good. So you can, if the product is loose enough at this point, scrape away with the blade end of a cuticle pusher. My personal preference at this point is to go back in with my eFile and very gently at this point go over the product. So an important thing with removals is always charge removal. Removal takes up a decent amount of your time, so we should always be charging for it. You need to know your worth, and we would recommend always charging for a removal. You can just see how easily these tinted tips soak off. So remember, when we're using the carbide bit, that we never want to go onto the natural nail with this, so be very, very cautious at this point.
Crumbling.
That's it. Coming off super nice and easy. You could also manually file at this point as well, as I'll show you with the other hand.
And you can use like a hybrid as well, so you can use your eFile to get away the bulk, and then if you're not comfortable you can go in with just a file at this stage.
Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with that. It's always just about doing what you feel comfortable with. Just trying to remove as much as we can at this point. And then what I'm going to do is, just for a couple of minutes, I am just going to re-wrap them. It will just highlight any areas of product that is still left on the nails, and then I will go in with just the nail file at the end just to gently remove anything from the natural nail, because we want to be careful when we get down to that bare natural nail. But that hand is for the most part removed. Chris, how long have we been recording for? Just to see how long that
just under 15 minutes.
So yeah, that hand is all but removed, to be honest.
You probably went in a wee bit earlier than what you probably would have.
Yeah, so 15 minutes or so if you're using the eFile. I would say 20 minutes to do both hands.
Yeah.
So the other hand, because we were hand filing, there will still be a little bit of gel polish on, so this one is going to take a little bit longer. So let's have a little look. Again, my personal preference is to just go in with a lint-free wipe and just wipe off any particularly wet areas of product so I don't get all sticky in the nail file or anything like that. I think everybody does removals a slightly different way, don't they? Yeah. And then if there is any particularly wet areas, you can go in with the blade end of a cuticle pusher, just give it a wee scrape like that. Again, as Jennifer says, I've probably gone in a little bit earlier than I usually would. And you can see we haven't worked through as much product as we have with the eFile. It really is a skill that I would so recommend people learn, because it's going to save you money, it's going to save you time, it's also going to save your wrists. So yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
And it was something that was drawn to my attention when someone signed up. I think it was maybe a few weeks back. And when they sign up, they can either upload their certificate or their insurance or something. Some people just leave their Instagram, and generally you can get them checked to see if they actually are nail techs, you know, if they're doing loads of sets and they've been doing it for a while. And on this girl's, the heading of her Instagram, it said no removals.
No removals?
Yes.
If you're putting products on people's nails, you must be able to remove them and offer that as a service. If you are not doing that, you shouldn't be doing nails.
I've also seen it before where no removals from other places.
That's fine.
Why.
That's fine.
We won't go into that. But it was just, I thought it was really unusual, and I was going to say it to someone at the time, but probably more than likely no one was around me.
It's you have to remove the product. It's managing your time.
A lot of people are nervous to do it.
Yeah.
But then if you're nervous to take it off, you shouldn't be putting it on, because you don't know what's going to happen. That client could have a reaction, which is nothing that you've done, it's just that people's bodies take reactions, and if they have a reaction, you need to be able to get those nails off quickly for them, so that...
Equally, if you think you've got somebody, say, on like a builder journey, and then they're at home and they're pulling their nails off, people don't have the patience, and what they start doing is they start biting it off, pulling it off. They'll then break their natural nails before they're able to come back, and so basically you're never going to have a true builder journey. You're always going to have short nails, so it's kind of a waste of everybody's time, waste of your client's money. So I just don't understand it.
Pop this hand back
Oh,
in.
sorry.
So I think maybe this video might pop up on someone's feed if they are researching how to do removals. I just thought I'd bring that or highlight that. So maybe if you are a little bit nervous, this video should help you, but not only that, you should maybe seek training, because it is a fundamental part of doing nails.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we went over this the last time, there isn't much product left on here, so I'm just going to scrape a little bit. Scrape any loose product off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a nail file, because we're down near to or at the natural nail at this point. So we don't want to be going back in with our carbide bit. Oh, I hate that sound. So I'm very gently going to go over with a 100 first. Remember, I'm not prepping the nails at this point, I am just removing the product. How you choose to leave the nails after this, I would say really depends on what the client is doing next. If the client is getting nails back on, obviously you're just going to go in with your prep method. If the client is not getting nails back on, I would still tidy them up a little bit and then pop some cuticle oil on, because obviously they'll be a little dehydrated from the acetone exposure. You don't want to just send them out the door with nails looking like this, is what I'm saying. You don't need to do a full manicure or anything like that, but just a wee tidy. And
for anybody that used to come in that wasn't, say for instance like our nurses, even though you try and do your cheeky NHS manicure, so like nurses, if they came back from holiday, they're getting their nails off, what I like to have in the bathroom at the salon was the scrubbed,
the beauty buffer,
because it's then like tidying up their skin, but also your fingers sometimes seem maybe a bit chalky and things.
Yeah,
so it means
so you can see that Jennifer's skin is sort of dry around.
That's a good try. So using that, it means that also you don't have to put your cuticle oil on as well, because that's going on. So it's just a good wee way for them to have their hands feeling clean before they leave the salon. And a wee bit of obviously the whipped butter after, because I will love it.
Moisture, moisture, moisture. We are just about finished this removal. Jennifer will be getting nails back on after this. So I'll do all the prep and proper tidy up then.
If you want to see more videos like this, just leave us a comment below this one.
Yeah, well, if you want to see videos on anything particular, leave us a comment in there and let us know what you'd like to see. So there we go. This hand is all removed. And then back on to the next one. So I'm just going to tidy this away. It's a bit of a dusty process. Okay, so again, because these ones are being manually done, it is a bit of a longer process.
I'm sure people watching this video right now are thinking, where do you get those cute pink wipes?
Well, you get them from our website. Our lint-free wipes are really, really adorable. And everybody really loves them because they say they are actually lint-free. So, yeah.
And
so if you're new to nail order, we sell products to nail techs worldwide. So if you're watching this in a different country from the UK, don't worry, we can ship to your country. We do full cover tips, cuticle oils, lots of salon merch. And we're starting to come out with a huge range of your salon essentials, like your little pink wipes there, and the files that Rebecca's using just now.
The nail files, we have lots of different grits, buffers and everything as well. So we are gonna soak this one more time, I think. So you can see it does take longer without the eFile, but we understand that not everybody is eFile trained. Also, this method of removal applies exactly the same to acrylics and gel and everything like that, not just full cover tips as we're removing today. Okay, in for another 3 minutes and then we will be done. Okay, so we are going to go over these for hopefully the last time. See if we can scrape off any little bits. If you're wondering where my tool is from, it is also Lucy Pastorelli. Her tools are really, really high quality, made in the UK.
And very reasonably priced.
Very reasonably priced. No big waiting list or anything. Okay, so again, I'm going to just carefully go in with my nail file, remove any product. Chris, can you tell me how long we've been recording for now?
26 minutes.
So-
After your little thought, well, my little thought at the start, and I'll put the mic on, call it 25.
So there you go, 25 minutes for the removal. Obviously that's the slowest part, the slowest one. So again, if you are doing manual, we say 25 minutes. If you're doing eFile, 15 to 20 is all you need. If it's taking you longer, have a real good look through this video and work out what could be taking the extra time. But yeah, that's all the nails removed. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you like this video, make sure you subscribe.